An alien grandma gave me a strange biscuit. Now her gorgeous granddaughter says Alex had always loved exploring the market. Not the kind of market humans had on Earth, but a sprawling, multi-level bazaar suspended inside the orbiting space station of Geron 7. The market stretched across glass tunnels, glowing platforms, and hanging bridges. Shimmering lights reflected off alien fabrics, and the scent of spices, minerals, and exotic fruits filled the air. The chatter of hundreds of species created a symphony of voices, some harsh and metallic, others soft and musical. He could barely take a step without turning to see something strange. A floating vendor offering glowing orbs, a creature with 4 arms carefully balancing delicate crystal bowls, or tiny robots playing tricks on each other to amuse the passers-by. Alex was human and he felt small here, but in a way he loved it. On Earth, life had been predictable, routine. Here, every day offered a new puzzle, a new wonder, a new story. He had always been curious, always the one to take the first step into unknown territory, and that curiosity had brought him far from home. It had also brought him to Geron 7 Market today, searching for scraps of alien technology to repair old ships back on his station. As he wandered down a glowing corridor lined with translucent stalls, a small figure appeared in his path. She was elderly, almost frail, with wrinkled skin patterned like delicate, gold-veined parchment. Her eyes, however, shone with sharp intelligence, and her hands moved with surprising steadiness as she offered him a small object. It looked ordinary at first glance, like a biscuit, but it glimmered faintly, almost as if it were alive. "You should have this," the old woman said in a voice that was soft but carried a strange authority. Alex blinked, startled. "For me?" he asked, glancing at the shiny biscuit. "Yes," she said, her eyes crinkling. "Eat it. It will show you what you need to see." Before Alex could ask another question, she shuffled away, disappearing into the crowd as quickly as she had appeared. His first thought was to call after her, but something about her movement, the confidence, the certainty, made him hesitate. The market was crowded, and within seconds she was gone. Alex held the biscuit in his hand. It felt warmer than expected, almost pulsing faintly like it had a heartbeat of its own. Curiosity gnawed at him. He had always been cautious, but this was exactly the kind of oddity he loved to explore. Slowly, he took a bite. At first, it tasted sweet, then strange, like he was tasting flavors that didn't exist on Earth. A tingling sensation spread through his fingers, his arms, and finally his head. The market around him seemed sharper, clearer. Colors that had been vibrant before became almost painfully vivid. Sounds became layered. He could hear distant conversations clearly, the subtle hum of machinery, even the fluttering of wings from a small alien bird perched on a railing above. And then came the thoughts. He realized, with both shock and fascination, that he could understand the voices of other species. The chatter of aliens suddenly made sense. The trader selling floating crystals wasn't just asking a price. He was negotiating a deal in his mind, weighing Alex's value silently before speaking. Alex's own thoughts raced. He could feel patterns in the market, predict small movements, even notice the emotions radiating from nearby beings. A sudden glance made his heart skip a beat. A young alien woman had been watching him for some time. She was stunning, her skin a soft, shimmering lavender, and her hair flowed like liquid silver. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and full of intelligence. She had a presence that drew attention, yet she moved with quiet confidence, almost like she belonged to another world entirely. Alex realized she was staring directly at him, but not with hostility, more like curiosity, interest, recognition. She smiled faintly, and Alex, still reeling from the effects of the biscuit, felt a strange connection, like she somehow knew him before he even knew himself. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice musical but firm. Alex nodded, trying to appear normal, though his heart raced. "Yeah, I'm fine," he said, unsure if he was. "Just surprised, I guess." She tilted her head, studying him as if weighing something in her mind. "I think the biscuit agrees with you," she said softly, a hint of amusement in her tone. "Not many humans react this way." Alex blinked. "Biscuit," he repeated, realizing that saying the word aloud sounded strange, foreign even. "Yes, I ate it, and now I can understand things, feel things differently. It's like everything is clearer." She smiled wider, and something in her gaze made Alex feel as though he were being assessed and approved simultaneously. "Good," she said. "You will need it. My grandmother, she gave it to you for a reason." Your grandmother? Alex asked. His curiosity, already piqued, surged again. Where is she? Why would she give me this? The young woman's eyes flickered with a mix of pride and caution. She has her reasons, not everyone should know, and not everyone could handle it, but you can. Before Alex could respond, she turned slightly and motioned for him to follow. They weaved through the market, gliding past stalls of glittering gems, levitating fruits, and tiny holographic creatures. Alex's mind raced. He had always been fascinated by aliens, by strange cultures, but now it felt like he was part of something bigger, something ancient and hidden. Finally, they arrived at a platform suspended above the market. The space beneath shimmered with neon lights, and beyond it the view opened to the dark expanse of space. Ships moved gracefully in orbit, their lights twinkling like stars. Alex felt a moment of awe, a sense of being both small and infinitely significant. You're wondering why your grandmother chose you, the young woman said, her voice gentle, almost like a breeze. And you will know soon, but first you need to learn control. The biscuit, it changes perception. It can amplify your senses, your understanding. But it can also overwhelm you if you let it. Alex swallowed hard, the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders. He had always thought of himself as clever, adaptable, resourceful, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. He felt a mix of excitement and fear, and he realized that nothing in his previous life had prepared him for this. I think I understand, he said slowly, though he was not entirely sure. But why me? Why a human? The young woman smiled, but it was not the playful smile of someone teasing. It was the smile of someone who carried knowledge and responsibility. Humans are rare here, and your kind has qualities we admire. Ingenuity, bravery, curiosity, compassion. Those who can think differently, your grandmother saw it in you, and now you will need to prove it. Alex's mind spun. He had traveled far, faced many dangers, repaired countless ships, but this was different. This was not about survival, not about skill. It was about understanding, about perception, about navigating a world he barely knew and discovering abilities he had never imagined. Come with me, she said, turning to leave. Alex followed, his senses alive with every sound, every movement. He could feel the currents of the market below, the subtle shifts in gravity along the platform, even the emotions of the beings around him. It was overwhelming, yet exhilarating. As they moved, he felt a sudden sense of destiny, as if this moment, this encounter, had been waiting for him long before he had ever arrived. The biscuit, the grandmother, the young woman, they were part of something larger, something that had chosen him for reasons he did not yet understand. And then, as they reached the edge of the platform, she stopped and looked at him with a seriousness that made him pause. Remember this, she said. What you have now, it is a gift, but gifts come with responsibility. You must choose carefully how to use it. The galaxy watches, Alex, and soon you will see why. Alex nodded, feeling the weight of her words settle into his mind. The market below continued its chaotic dance of colors and sounds, but he now saw it differently. Every movement, every conversation, every shadow held meaning. He realized that nothing would ever be the same again. The young woman extended her hand, and Alex took it, feeling a strange warmth, a connection that went beyond understanding. Together, they looked out at the stars, at the ships orbiting silently, and at the vastness of possibilities ahead. Somewhere deep in the labyrinthine streets of the market, the grandmother watched. She had chosen wisely. And as Alex's senses adjusted, as his mind stretched to accommodate this new reality, he understood one thing clearly. The galaxy was no longer a distant dream. It was here. It was alive, and it was waiting for him. Alex followed Lyra as she led him through narrow corridors suspended high above the market. The walls of the passage glowed softly, illuminating intricate patterns etched into the crystal-like material. Everywhere he looked, he saw glimpses of alien technology that defied human logic. Some devices hovered in midair without any visible support, while others pulsed with light in rhythm with their own unseen heartbeat. Alex's senses, still heightened from the biscuit, made him notice things most humans would never even perceive. He could feel tiny vibrations in the walls, the subtle flow of energy through the floor, and even the faint emotional currents of beings nearby. Lyra walked with an effortless grace, her hand brushing against the crystalline walls as if reading their memory. Alex struggled to keep up, both physically and mentally, as his mind raced to process all the new sensations. Where are we going? he asked, his voice betraying a mix of awe and anxiety. To my grandmother's home, Lyra replied. It is a place humans rarely see, but you are different. Her words were soft, but they carried a weight he could not ignore. The biscuit has opened doors for you, and now you must learn how to walk through them. Alex nodded, trying to steady himself. He had never been in a place so alien, so alive with energy. He had explored distant planets, repaired ancient ships, and encountered beings that looked like nothing from Earth, but nothing had prepared him for this. The corridors twisted and turned, creating paths that seemed impossible at first glance. Sometimes the path would narrow into a thin bridge, suspended over empty space, and sometimes it expanded into vast chambers filled with floating lights. Alex marveled at everything, but he remained focused, aware that Lyra's guidance was crucial. Finally, they reached a massive door, made of translucent crystal embedded with swirling patterns of light. Lyra placed her hand on the surface, and it parted silently, revealing a breathtaking sight. The room inside was vast, with ceilings that seemed to stretch endlessly upward. Crystals floated in midair, reflecting light in rainbow patterns, and streams of water moved gracefully along invisible channels. In the center, a platform hovered above a softly glowing pool, and Alex felt an instant surge of calm as he stepped inside. "This is my grandmother's home," Lyra said, gesturing around the room. "It is a place of learning, of history, and of secrets." She built it to protect knowledge that must never fall into the wrong hands. Alex's eyes widened. "Knowledge? What kind of knowledge?" he asked, his curiosity getting the better of him. Lyra hesitated, then smiled gently. "Not all knowledge is meant for humans. But you have been given the gift to understand it, at least some of it. The biscuit awakened more than your senses. It awakened your mind in ways we hoped would survive exposure to our world." Alex swallowed hard, feeling both honored and overwhelmed. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," he admitted. "You will be," Lyra said confidently. "But first, you must learn to control what the biscuit has given you. Without control, your abilities can become dangerous to yourself and others." Over the next several hours, Lyra guided Alex through a series of exercises designed to test his perception and intuition. They began with simple tasks, identifying the energy flow in the floating crystals, predicting the movement of small robotic creatures, and reading the emotional states of nearby beings. Alex was amazed at how quickly he could grasp these concepts. His human mind, combined with the heightened perception from the biscuit, allowed him to notice patterns and connections that even some native aliens struggled to see. As the exercises grew more complex, Alex discovered a surprising talent. He could interface with alien technology instinctively, almost as if his mind were a key that unlocked hidden functions. He reached out to a floating control panel, and it responded immediately, lights shifting and symbols rearranging themselves to show him information. He realized he could not only understand the technology, but also anticipate its needs, predict its behavior, and even correct errors without touching anything physically. Lyra watched him closely, her eyes full of admiration. "Humans are often underestimated," she said softly. "Your kind does not rely solely on brute strength or memory. You solve problems in ways that are creative, intuitive, and sometimes brilliant. That is why my grandmother chose you." Alex felt a surge of pride, but also a deep responsibility. The power he had been given was incredible, but he understood that it came with stakes he could not yet fully comprehend. "I want to help," he said. I don't know what I'm helping with yet." Lyra nodded. "That will become clear soon. For now, learn to control yourself. And trust that your instincts, as human as they are valuable here. There are things coming, events that may threaten not only my people but the stability of nearby systems, and you may play a crucial role." Alex's mind raced. Threats, crises, stability of entire systems. It sounded like something from a story, not his life. But he had learned to trust his instincts, and something about Lyra's tone made him believe her. He felt a mixture of excitement and fear, the kind that only came when one was about to step into something life-changing. As the hours passed, Alex began to notice subtle things in Lyra's behavior. She was graceful, intelligent, and confident, but there was also a tension beneath the surface, a hint of worry she did not voice openly. He realized that she carried a burden, perhaps a responsibility to protect knowledge, or maybe a duty to her people. He wanted to ask, but he felt it was not the right time. Instead, he focused on learning. They moved to another chamber where panels floated in midair, displaying images of distant planets, stars, and unknown worlds. Lyra guided him through the systems, showing him how to read the data intuitively. Alex's mind, now sharpened by the biscuit, absorbed the information quickly. He could see patterns in the planetary movements, understand resource distributions, and even predict potential threats from natural phenomena. "This is incredible," he whispered. I can see things I never imagined. I can understand things about this galaxy that I could never learn from books or lectures." Lyra smiled. "That is the gift, Alex, not just knowledge, but understanding. And understanding is power when used wisely. But remember, power without responsibility can be dangerous. That is why my grandmother chose someone like you, someone capable of empathy, of careful thought, of bravery." As the day turned to night, though on the station night was measured more by the rotation of its orbit than by sunlight, Lyra brought Alex to a quiet corner. A holographic device hovered before them, projecting the image of the elderly grandmother. She was small, frail, but her eyes sparkled with intelligence. "Alex," her voice echoed softly, though the hologram looked like it could speak in person. "If you are seeing this, it means you have accepted the gift. You have shown courage, curiosity, and the ability to learn. But the galaxy is not safe. There are those who wish to seize knowledge for selfish power. You must be vigilant. And you must trust the young one who guides you now." Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. The grandmother's words were calm, yet filled with gravity. He had never imagined that a simple biscuit could lead to this, a responsibility that might stretch across the galaxy, requiring him to act in ways humans rarely had to. Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Do not worry, Alex. You will not face this alone. And you are not unprepared. Your human qualities, ingenuity, creativity, adaptability, these will help you. And soon you will see why you were chosen. Soon you will understand the larger role you have in what is coming." Alex nodded, still trying to process everything. His thoughts jumped from the market, to the technology, to the stars outside, to the strange gift, and finally to Lyra herself. She was not just a guide or a teacher. She was someone who believed in him, who recognized potential in a way that no one else had. And for the first time in a long while, he felt that perhaps he truly belonged. Not on Earth, not on the station, but in this galaxy that stretched endlessly before him, filled with mysteries waiting to be solved. For hours, they continued their lessons, moving from chamber to chamber, each filled with floating crystals, glowing devices, and strange artifacts. Alex learned to manipulate energy flows, to predict technological outcomes, and to sense the emotions of beings near and far. Every new skill made him feel more capable, more alive, and more aware of his potential role in the galaxy. As dawn approached on the space station, Alex and Lyra rested on a platform overlooking the market below. The lights of the bustling bazaar shimmered like a river of stars, and Alex felt a sense of wonder unlike anything he had experienced before. "I never imagined this," he said quietly. "That humans could see, understand, and learn like this. It feels incredible." Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the city below. "Your kind has a way of surprising us. That is why my grandmother chose you. You have more than just the gift from the biscuit. You have the courage to act, the curiosity to explore, and the wisdom to learn. Remember this, Alex, and remember that the galaxy is watching. Soon you will see your first true test." Alex stared at the stars, feeling both small and immensely significant. He had traveled far, faced challenges, and repaired countless ships, but nothing had prepared him for this journey. Yet, for the first time, he felt ready. Ready to face whatever was coming, ready to learn, ready to prove that humans could rise to challenges that even the most advanced alien minds might struggle to meet. And deep inside, Alex knew one thing clearly. His life had changed forever. The biscuit, the grandmother, the young alien woman, they had opened a door to a new reality. A reality filled with challenges, adventures, and discoveries beyond imagination. And he was determined to step through that door to learn, to grow, and to show that humanity, curious, clever, brave, could indeed make its mark on the galaxy. Alex woke to a soft hum of light, the crystalline walls of Lyra's home glowing gently as the station continued its orbit. The lessons from the previous day lingered in his mind like a vivid dream. Every sound, every vibration, every flicker of light felt sharper, more alive. Even the subtle currents of emotion from Lyra as she moved through the chambers were easier to read now, a constant undercurrent that made him feel connected in ways he had never experienced before. Lyra appeared quietly at the doorway. She smiled at him, a warmth in her eyes that made him feel calm yet alert. "Are you ready for today?" she asked. Alex nodded. "I think I am, but yesterday was a lot. I'm not sure how much more I can take," she chuckled softly. The mind grows stronger when it is challenged. The biscuit did not just give you abilities, it expanded what you are capable of perceiving. Today, you will learn more about why you were chosen. They moved together through the floating corridors, past rooms filled with alien devices that Alex still did not fully understand. Lyra led him to a chamber he had not seen before. It was smaller, circular, with walls of translucent crystal that shimmered with flowing patterns. In the center was a platform that pulsed faintly with light. Suspended above it was a large, spherical device that projected holographic images as they moved around it. "This," Lyra explained, "is my grandmother's archive. It contains knowledge she has gathered over decades. Not all of it is safe for casual use, but some parts can guide you. You must approach it carefully." Alex stepped forward, drawn to the pulsing sphere. It seemed alive, responsive to his presence. He reached out, and as his hand neared it, holographic symbols rearranged themselves into something he could understand. Data streamed in his mind: alien star maps, technological schematics, and histories of civilizations he had never imagined. He felt overwhelmed, yet exhilarated. His human mind, enhanced by the gift, absorbed the information faster than he could have thought possible. Lyra watched silently. "You see patterns others miss, Alex. You can understand the relationships between technology, strategy, and behavior. That is rare. That is why the biscuit found you." As he studied the data, he noticed a recurring symbol, a simple geometric pattern repeated across multiple star systems. Curiosity flared. "What is this?" he asked. "It seems important." Lyra's expression grew serious. "That symbol marks a network my grandmother has been monitoring. Some call it the Sentinel Grid. It is a defense system designed to keep dangerous forces from spreading through nearby space. But it is vulnerable, and that vulnerability is what you may be needed for." Alex's stomach tightened. Danger, real, immediate danger. He had faced risks before, but this felt different, larger, more significant. "What kind of danger?" he asked. Lyra hesitated, then said, "There are those who want to control the knowledge my grandmother protects. Not for learning, not for progress, but for power. If they succeed, entire systems could fall under their rule. That is why your abilities matter. You can think in ways they cannot anticipate. You can act with creativity and adaptability." Alex tried to process it. Humans had often been underestimated by other species. They had brute strength, ingenuity, and curiosity, but in a galaxy filled with advanced civilizations, humans had rarely been taken seriously. Yet here he was, being told that his unique qualities could tip the balance of power. It was a mix of pride, fear, and determination. Lyra moved closer, placing a hand on his arm. "You are ready to begin the first step, but understand this: knowledge alone is not enough. You must combine it with action, with courage, with intuition. That is the essence of what makes a human valuable in this galaxy." The first step was a test of perception and strategy. Lyra activated the holographic sphere, and it projected a simulation of a complex alien city under threat. Vehicles moved along floating highways, energy flows shifted, and unknown entities attempted to infiltrate the defenses. Alex had to predict their movements, manipulate controls, and respond in real time. At first, he stumbled, overwhelmed by the speed and complexity. But then he remembered Lyra's words and the lessons from the previous day. He slowed his mind, focused on patterns rather than individual actions, and began to see the flow of the simulation. He anticipated intrusions before they happened, rerouted energy flows, and created contingencies that even the advanced AI of the simulation had not accounted for. Lyra watched, impressed. "You are learning faster than expected. You are beginning to see the underlying principles, not just the surface actions. That is rare among any species, Alex." Hours passed. By the time he stepped back from the simulation, he was exhausted, yet exhilarated. He could feel the growth in himself, a new confidence taking root. But the sense of wonder was tempered by a shadow of concern. If the simulation represented reality, the dangers out there were immense, and he was only beginning to understand what he was capable of. Lyra led him to another section of the archive. This one contained artifacts, small devices, books, and objects that seemed ordinary but were imbued with advanced technology. Alex picked up one device, a small crystal cube, and felt it pulse in his hand. Images and sounds filled his mind. He realized it was a recording of his grandmother, guiding her people through crises long before he had ever existed. "These are her lessons," Lyra said. She believed that knowledge must be passed, even across generations and species, if it can save lives. Alex studied the recordings, absorbing strategies, histories, and innovations. He began to understand the depth of what he had been given. This was not just a gift for adventure, it was a responsibility that carried weight across time and space. Suddenly, the archive pulsed more intensely, and a warning flashed across the holographic sphere. Lyra's expression grew tense. "Something is approaching," she said. "Not from here, but from beyond the station. A faction has detected unusual activity in the Sentinel grid. They may be coming for my grandmother's knowledge." Alex felt a rush of adrenaline. He had trained for simulations, for learning, but this was real. He could feel his senses sharpening, his mind racing. "What do we do?" he asked. Lyra took his hand. "We prepare, but remember, Alex, you must trust your instincts. Your human intuition is what will make the difference. The technologies, the strategies, they help, but you must act beyond them." The warning pulsed again, revealing multiple ships approaching the station, sleek and dark, with designs that suggested speed and danger. Alex studied their paths, predicting their movements, and quickly realized that brute force would not stop them. He suggested rerouting energy flows, creating decoy signals, and using the station's gravity fields to slow the intruders. Lyra moved alongside him, activating panels and controls, her fingers dancing across surfaces as if they were extensions of her own body. Together, human and alien, mind and instinct, they orchestrated a defense that combined precision, creativity, and understanding. The intruders reached the station, and for a tense moment it seemed they might break through. But Alex's human ingenuity, guided by Lyra's knowledge and the gift from the biscuit, turned the tide. The intruders were diverted, their sensors confused, and their ships forced to retreat. As the last of the enemy vessels disappeared into the void, Alex exhaled, feeling both relief and awe. "We did it," he said, his voice trembling with adrenaline. Lyra smiled, though her eyes were still serious. "Yes, but this was only the beginning. There will be others, and they will not be as easily repelled. That is why your training continues. You must be prepared for anything." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He realized that the galaxy was a dangerous place, filled with forces that valued power over understanding, domination over collaboration. And yet he also realized that humans, with their creativity, adaptability, and courage, could make a difference, even against enemies far stronger and more advanced. Lyra led him back to a quieter chamber. The city below shimmered in the distance, and Alex could see small ships moving through the market, unaware of the danger that had almost reached them. He felt a sense of responsibility settle over him. This was not just about adventure. It was about protecting lives, knowledge, and balance in a galaxy that often seemed chaotic and unforgiving. "Alex," Lyra said softly, "you have taken the first step. You have learned control, insight, and strategy. But the real challenge is understanding when to act and when to trust your instincts. That is what humans do best. That is why you were chosen." Alex felt a surge of determination. He had been tested, challenged, and pushed beyond his limits, but he was ready. He had seen his potential, and he understood the stakes. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers, and he was no longer just a visitor. He was a participant, a protector, and perhaps, one day, a hero. As the night, or what passed for night on the station, continued, Alex and Lyra stood side by side, overlooking the city and the stars beyond. He felt a connection to her, to the grandmother who had given him the biscuit, and to the countless possibilities that lay ahead. Somewhere in the market, life continued as usual, unaware of the threats that lurked beyond. But Alex knew that he had changed, and that the gift from the alien grandmother was only the beginning. The galaxy awaited, and he was ready to meet it with courage, intelligence, and the uniquely human spark that had brought him this far. The alarms echoed through the station, low and urgent, vibrating in Alex's chest as if warning him directly. He and Lyra sprinted through the corridors, the glowing walls casting shifting patterns across their determined faces. Outside, the void of space was alive with motion. Sleek black ships moved in formation, their sharp angles reflecting the light of distant stars. This was no simulation. This was real, and the intruders were closing in fast. Lyra's voice was calm, yet commanding. Alex, focus. Use what the Biscuit has given you. Anticipate their moves. Think ahead. Alex nodded, feeling his senses sharpen. The hum of the station, the faint energy currents flowing through its walls, even the subtle emotional tension from the crew, he could feel it all. Patterns emerged in the chaos. He could see where the enemy ships would strike, predict their trajectory, and identify weak points in the station's defenses. "This way," Lyra said, leading him to a control chamber suspended above the market below. Panels floated midair, displaying energy flows, weapon systems, and structural integrity. She gestured to a cluster of controls. "We need to reroute the station's defenses to block their approach. I'll handle the energy flows, you anticipate their moves and control the targeting systems." Alex took a deep breath, trying to calm the racing of his heart. His hands hovered over the controls, guided by instinct and the subtle insights the Biscuit had unlocked. He felt the station as if it were an extension of himself, every panel, every system responding to his thoughts. The enemy ships adjusted their course, and he countered with precision. He was no longer just reacting. He was predicting, anticipating, staying one step ahead. Hours passed in tense motion. Every time the intruders adjusted their formation, Alex adapted, creating new patterns of defense, rerouting energy shields, and confusing the enemy's sensors. Lyra worked beside him seamlessly, her hands flying over controls as she stabilized critical systems. Together, they were a team of perfect coordination, human intuition paired with alien knowledge. Then came the breakthrough. Alex noticed a pattern in the enemy's movement. They were focusing on a single corridor, attempting to breach the station's core where the Sentinel grid archives were located. "They're going for the archives," he shouted. "If they reach it, they'll steal my grandmother's knowledge." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "We cannot let that happen. You must create a diversion, use the station's environment against them." Alex's mind raced. He saw the tunnels above, the maintenance shafts, the energy conduits. A plan formed. He directed a controlled energy surge through one of the conduits, forcing a temporary shutdown in a section of the station. The enemy ships, expecting a clear path, were caught off guard. Their formation faltered, and the station's automated defenses struck with precision. The intruders roared in frustration through the comms, their voices harsh and metallic. Alex's pulse quickened. He realized they were more organized and intelligent than any adversary he had faced before. This was a test not only of skill, but of creativity and courage, the very qualities humans were often underestimated for possessing. "Now," Lyra shouted, "prepare for a counterstrike." Alex manipulated the targeting systems, predicting the ship's maneuvers and coordinating with the station's defense arrays. A wave of energy barriers rose, forcing the enemy into narrow channels where automated turrets could strike with accuracy. Alex felt the exhilaration of control, the rush of responsibility, and even fear mixed with determination. Each decision he made affected the outcome, and he could feel the weight of every choice pressing on him. Despite their efforts, one of the enemy ships broke through the outer defenses, diving toward the archive. Alex reacted instantly, calculating angles and energy pulses. He directed a plasma net to intercept it, guiding it with his mind. The net wrapped around the ship, forcing it into a stall. He could feel the stress of the ship's AI, the strain of the enemy pilot, and he knew he had to act carefully to avoid destruction that could damage the station. With a precise manipulation of energy flows, Alex steered the ship away, out into the void where it drifted harmlessly, disabled but intact. He exhaled, realizing the station was secure for now. Lyra turned to him, a mixture of relief and pride in her gaze. "You did well, Alex. Your instincts, your human ingenuity, they saved the archives. But this was only the beginning. Others will come. They will be smarter, faster, more ruthless." Alex's body ached from tension, but he felt alive in a way he never had before. The Biscuit had given him awareness, perception, and understanding. But it was his courage, quick thinking, and adaptability that had made the difference. He realized in that moment that humanity's greatest strength lay not in technology, but in the mind, the ability to think, to innovate, to act where others hesitated. Suddenly, Lyra's attention shifted to a smaller screen. A blip moved rapidly, cutting through the station's defenses. Alex squinted, recognizing it as a scout ship, tiny but fast. "It's heading straight for us," Lyra said. "We cannot afford to lose sight of it." Alex focused, tracking the ship through the sensory web of the station. Using a combination of prediction and intuition, he guided the station's micro-drones to intercept. They swarmed around the scout ship, disorienting it and forcing it to retreat. Lyra exhaled. "You're beginning to understand the balance of action and awareness. That is why humans are remarkable. We may underestimate you, but your mind is a tool no machine can fully replicate." Alex felt a thrill of pride, but he also knew the danger was far from over. He had proven himself, yes, but this was a single battle, a single encounter. The enemy would adapt, and so must he. As the station returned to normal, the hum of systems steady and flowing again, Lyra led Alex back to the archives. "There is more you must understand," she said. "The enemy you faced is part of a faction that has grown ambitious. They covet knowledge not for survival, but for dominance. They will continue to test the limits of your abilities." Alex listened intently, aware that the stakes had expanded far beyond himself or even this station. The galaxy was alive with forces that could tip the balance of power in dangerous ways, and he now carried the responsibility to act. Lyra guided him to a section of the archive that glowed softly. Holographic images of past guardians, battles, and protective measures floated in the air. "These are my grandmother's records," she explained. "They show how knowledge was protected through generations and how humans like you can influence events beyond expectation. You must learn these lessons, not just in theory but in practice. The next challenge will test not only your mind but your courage." Alex stepped closer, absorbing the information. Strategies, predictions, and historical outcomes flowed into his mind. He realized that his journey was not simply about mastering skills. It was about understanding responsibility, about combining intuition, courage, and intelligence to protect lives and knowledge. Hours later, after intense study and practice, Alex and Lyra paused. The station floated silently in the void, calm once again, but he knew the calm was temporary. "How do we prepare for what's next?" he asked. Lyra's eyes reflected both seriousness and hope. "By training, by observing, by learning to trust your instincts. And by remembering that you are human. That is your greatest strength." Alex understood. The gift of the biscuit had opened doors, yes, but it was his humanity, his ingenuity, empathy, and creativity that allowed him to use it. He felt a sense of purpose settling into him, stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. As he looked out into the vastness of space, he realized that the enemy's retreat was only temporary. Challenges would come, and he would face them, not as an ordinary human, but as a human enhanced by awareness, courage, and the spark of ingenuity that had always driven his species forward. Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder, a quiet affirmation of trust. "You have learned much today, but tomorrow you will face new tests, ones that will push you further. Remember, Alex, that humans are rare here, but they are also remarkable. The galaxy underestimates your kind at its own risk." Alex felt a surge of determination. He had faced simulations, intruders, and near disaster, and he had prevailed. He had discovered strengths within himself he never knew existed. And as he stood there looking at the stars stretching endlessly before him, he knew one thing clearly. Humanity had a place in the galaxy, and he was determined to prove it no matter the cost. The night, or what counted as night on the station, passed with quiet reflection. Alex could still feel the energy from the battle lingering in his body, a mixture of exhaustion, adrenaline, and exhilaration. He knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, the enemies cunning, and the stakes higher than anything he had faced before. Yet for the first time, he did not feel afraid. He felt ready. And somewhere, watching from the shadows of the market below, the grandmother observed quietly, knowing she had chosen wisely. Her gift had found a human who could rise to the challenge, not through brute strength, but through mind, courage, and heart. Alex had survived the first real test. But the galaxy had many more waiting, and he would meet each one, step by step, with the uniquely human spark that could change worlds. Alex stood at the edge of the platform, staring into the endless black of space. The stars seemed to shimmer more brightly tonight, almost like they were watching him. The last few days had changed him completely. The gift of the biscuit had opened his mind, and Lyra had guided him to understand it, but now he was ready for the final challenge, one that would test everything he had learned. Lyra approached him, calm yet determined. "The rogue faction we faced before has returned, Alex. They have reinforced their fleet and are coming for the Sentinel grid archives. This time they will not retreat easily. Everything we've prepared may be tested to the extreme." Alex nodded. He felt a mix of excitement and fear, but also clarity. He knew what was at stake, not just the station, not just the archives, but countless lives across the systems. He had the gift, but more importantly, he had human ingenuity, intuition, and courage. That combination, he realized, was what could make a difference. They moved to the control chamber, where the glowing panels reflected their focused expressions. Outside, dark ships appeared, cutting through space with deadly precision. The fleet was larger this time, faster and more organized. Their intent was clear. They would stop at nothing to capture the knowledge his grandmother had protected for decades. Alex took a deep breath. "We can do this," he said quietly. "We've handled attacks before, but this will need more than just defense. We need strategy, creativity, and timing, and maybe a little surprise they won't expect." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Exactly. The human's unpredictability is what makes you remarkable. Your mind will be our greatest weapon." The first wave of ships reached the station. Automated turrets activated, energy shields pulsed, and drones zipped through the void, intercepting intruders. Alex analyzed the incoming formation, predicting the enemy's moves with a speed that shocked even him. "They'll split at the next junction," he shouted. "Two ships will break off toward the maintenance tunnels. I can reroute the energy barriers to trap them." Lyra nodded, following his lead. "Do it!" Alex manipulated the controls, sending energy pulses through the station. The two rogue ships were forced into a trap, caught between walls of force and drones that immobilized them. But the main fleet pressed on, heavier and more relentless than before. "This is it," Lyra said, her voice steady. "We must protect the archives at all costs." "Everything depends on your decisions now." Alex focused, feeling the flow of the station like a living entity. He could sense every vibration, every current, every subtle shift. He directed the defenses with precision, guiding drones, energy barriers, and automated weapons. He anticipated enemy maneuvers, predicting angles and speed with a mix of logic and intuition. Yet despite their efforts, one of the intruders penetrated the outer defenses, heading straight for the archive chamber. Alex's heart pounded. This was the moment that would test everything. He had the knowledge, the gift, and his human intuition, but would it be enough? "Lyra, I have a plan," Alex said, his mind racing. "We'll create a diversion using the outer energy conduits. Then we'll manipulate the gravity fields in the archive section to delay them. It's risky, but it could buy us enough time to protect the data." Lyra considered it, then nodded. "Do it! I trust your judgment." Alex worked quickly, rerouting energy and activating the conduits. The station responded like a living organism, channels of light and power shifting under his control. The enemy ship barreled forward, but suddenly it encountered the barriers he had set. It twisted and turned, trying to escape, but Alex anticipated every move, guiding the station's defenses with precise timing. The ship slowed, trapped by the gravitational manipulation and energy barriers. Alex directed a controlled EMP burst, temporarily disabling the ship without destroying it, careful not to damage the station. The intruder drifted helplessly, caught but alive, a testament to Alex's strategic thinking. Lyra exhaled. "Well done, Alex, that was brilliant." The rest of the fleet faltered. Seeing one of their ships captured, the remaining vessels hesitated. Alex seized the moment, using the station's energy fields to redirect their path, guiding them into traps, confusing their navigation systems and forcing them to retreat. Within moments, the enemy fleet was gone, their threat neutralized for now. Alex sank into a chair, exhausted but exhilarated. His hands trembled slightly from adrenaline, but his mind was sharp. He had faced a challenge that seemed impossible, and he had prevailed, not through brute force, but through thought, intuition, and courage. He realized that humans, often underestimated, possessed a kind of ingenuity that could rival the most advanced civilizations. Lyra approached, her expression softer now. She placed a hand on his shoulder. "You've done more than survive, Alex. You've proven that humans can face challenges far beyond their experience and succeed. That is why your grandmother chose you." Your kind brings something rare to the galaxy: creativity, courage, and the ability to act where others hesitate. Alex felt a wave of pride, but also humility. He had learned so much, yet he knew there was still more to understand, more to explore, more challenges ahead. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, and he had only just begun to realize what he was capable of. They walked together to the observation deck, overlooking the station and the distant stars. The market below was calm, unaware of the chaos that had just been averted. Ships moved silently through the void, small lights against the dark expanse. Alex felt a sense of wonder he had never known before, a mix of awe, responsibility, and excitement for what lay ahead. Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the station lights. The battle is won, but the war for knowledge, understanding, and balance is ongoing. You will face more tests, Alex, but you now know what humans can do when they combine courage with insight. And I know you are ready. Alex nodded. I understand. The gift from your grandmother, it's more than just a power. It's a responsibility, and I will use it wisely. A soft hum filled the room, and a small holographic device floated before them. It was the grandmother's voice, calm and steady. Alex, you have exceeded my expectations. You have shown courage, intelligence, and adaptability. You have proven that humans, though young among the stars, can rise to challenges with creativity and heart. Remember this lesson: power without thought is dangerous, but thought guided by courage and empathy can change the galaxy. You have begun that journey, and it will continue. Alex felt the words sink into him. The grandmother's wisdom, combined with his own experiences, had shaped him into something more than he had been yesterday. He was a human, yes, but now a human capable of influencing events on a scale he had never imagined. Lyra smiled. Tomorrow, we will continue your training. There are other systems to protect, other threats to anticipate, but tonight, rest. You have earned it. Alex gazed out at the stars, feeling the hum of the station beneath him. For the first time, he truly understood the scale of the galaxy and his place in it. He realized that humans, often overlooked, possess something powerful: the ability to innovate, to act creatively, to make choices that others could not foresee. That spark of humanity had carried him through danger and would guide him through challenges yet to come. He closed his eyes briefly, imagining the grandmother watching from afar, Lyra guiding him, and the countless possibilities ahead. He felt a sense of peace, knowing that he had proven himself not by strength alone, but by the uniquely human qualities that no alien could replicate. When he opened his eyes, Lyra was beside him, her hand brushing lightly against his. You've changed, Alex. Not just because of the gift, but because of what you've done with it. You've shown that humans belong among the stars. And more than that, you've shown that we can trust your kind to make the right choices. Alex smiled, a mixture of pride and humility. I still have a lot to learn, he admitted, but I'm ready for whatever comes next. I've seen what I can do, and I know now that humans, our curiosity, our courage, our creativity, can make a difference. Lyra nodded, her eyes softening. Then you are exactly what the galaxy needs, Alex. Your journey is only beginning, but tonight you have earned your place. You have proven that humanity, though young and inexperienced among the stars, can rise to meet any challenge. Alex took a deep breath, letting the weight of the past battles, the lessons, and the challenges settle into him. He had faced danger, mastered new abilities, and stood shoulder to shoulder with an alien ally. He had protected knowledge that could shape the future, and in doing so, he had discovered something greater about himself: his mind, his courage, and the potential of humanity. As the station drifted silently through space, Alex looked at Lyra, the stars beyond, and the infinite possibilities that awaited. He knew that more challenges would come, more enemies would rise, and more decisions would demand courage and ingenuity. But he also knew something vital. Humans could rise above expectations, face the impossible, and leave a mark on the galaxy. And as he prepared to rest for the night, a quiet smile spread across his face. The Biscuit had given him a gift, but it was his heart, mind, and courage that had made him a hero. And that, he realized, was the essence of being human in a galaxy filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagining. The stars twinkled, distant and eternal, as if acknowledging the spark of humanity that now shone brightly among them. Alex knew one thing for certain: this was only the beginning.